Doug Coby kicks off the SRX series by winning this series opener at Stafford, and there's a rumor going around that the next gen car could be 650 horsepower for all tracks. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to the video. We got a lot of NASCAR stories discussed here today on the channel. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it very quickly. The first paint scheme we're going to take a look at is AJ Allmond's 2021 Andy's Frozen Custard scheme that we're going to see later this year at Texas Motor Speedway when we come back to Texas Motor Speedway in the fall. I really like this paint scheme a lot. The colors look really good. I was a big fan of Austin Dillon's paint scheme. This one also looks really good. They did a great job on the colors and everything. I really like this paint scheme. I'm definitely looking forward to see this one out on the racetrack here later this year at Texas Motor Speedway. And the last paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Justin Allgaier's 2021 Dollar General Literacy scheme that we're going to see this weekend at National Super Speedway. It's really great to see the Dollar General's back sponsoring race car. I think the last time he sponsored, I think it was around 2016 or 2017. Matt Kenseth drove for them for Joe Gibbs Racing. This is really cool to see that Justin Allgaier is going to be once again sponsored by Dollar General. It's great to see the Dollar General's back in sport, and also really like this paint scheme a lot. I'm definitely looking forward to see all of this car out on the racetrack here this weekend at National Super Speedway. And now we're going to go ahead and jump onto all the other major stories we discussed here today on the channel. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. We're going to start off with Texas Fall Race, as Andy's Frozen Custard is going to be sponsoring Texas Fall Race here for the Xfinity Series. This is a really good partnership. It's great to see Andy's Frozen Custard is continuing to partner up with NASCAR. It's really great to see that, especially since they basically came into NASCAR for the first time in a very long time, sponsoring Austin Dillon. They're all sponsoring AJ Allmond later this year, like I mentioned just a minute ago. And it's great to see that Andy's Frozen Custard is going to be sponsoring the Texas Fall Race. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Luke Combs. As like last year, Luke Combs is going to be performing at the upcoming Daytona 500 in 2022. I believe this is the first time we've had a repeat person come and perform. He did perform in the 2021 Daytona 500, but that, of course, was a limited crowd. He'll be back this year to perform in front of a full crowd, as the expected Daytona 500 is going to have full capacity once again in 2022. I'm fine with Luke Combs performing in the Daytona 500 once again basically for the concert, of course, but I'd like to see some like new genres come in. I love country music, don't get me wrong, but I would like to see them change it up going forward. I'd like to see them basically change up the genres, bring some rock or maybe some hip hop or something. I have no problem with Luke Combs performing, like I said, but I would like to see him basically overall change up who's going to basically perform, as I would rather see them or someone else do it than that. But that's just my opinion on that. But it's cool to see, once again, that Luke Combs is going to be performing. But I just think that overall in the future, they should change up who is going to be performing here in the Daytona 500. And now we're going to jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Jesse Little. As Jesse Little is going to be racing in the Summer Showdown at Evergreen Speedway on July 23rd and July 24th. Jesse Little, while he's kind of struggled so far in the NASCAR Xfinity Series to be a Crowd Motorsports here for Skull Racing the Xfinity Series, Jesse Little definitely, I think, is a very talented driver, and he's really good at late models as well. I think he's going to show a lot of speed. I think he's going to be a contender in this event. I think he honestly could win the event overall. I don't know what other NASCAR drivers are going to run. I think that's during the break as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think NASCAR is going to be on break during their 3-week break. They're not going to be racing at the time. So I think Jesse Little is going to show a lot of speed. I think he's going to be really confident. And I think he's going to be really great. It's great to see that another late model driver, another Xfinity Series driver is going down. And it's also going to overall give great promotion as well for that event. Great to see that Jesse Little is going to be competing in this event here in the late models. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Lawless Allen. As Lawless Allen is going to be racing in 5 more races for AM Brothers Racing here later this year. He'll be racing at Nashville this upcoming weekend, Pocono, Watkins Glen, Bristol, and Talladega. Now, Lawless Allen has already raced a couple races, but he's raced on the road course track stretch. I believe he's had maybe one top 30 finish. He hasn't been super credit, but keep in mind, the AM Brothers Racing organization is not very fast. But he wasn't also that great, to be honest with you, with Bill McAnally's racing organization. He drove for that team for a little bit and got a few top 10s, but he wasn't really too impressive. Now, intentions is that Lawless Allen might be the first driver that is confirmed to be back in the Truck Series, because it's being reported in this report that they're looking to gain some more experience in these races, because they're planning on trying to run Lawless Allen full-time next year in the 2022 NASCAR Truck Series season, which I think would be really cool. I think it'd be really cool for them to have someone running full-time, because I don't think they have anybody running full-time with the organization. They have a rotation of drivers that they basically run. I think it would make a lot of sense overall to have someone to run full-time, focus on, as I think if you have someone running full-time for your organization, that would really help. Again, it's not confirmed they're going to run him in 2022, but it's expected that they will probably run him full-time in 2022 to get him some experience over there. But it's really cool he's going to be running full-time. Hopefully, he'll do really well next year. Hopefully, he'll try to get this team and have them have some good speed going for us. I think he definitely would do pretty good, in my honest opinion. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next story of today's episode as we are talking about MBM Motorsports. As Brock Beer reported on Twitter that the MBM Motorsports is expected to bring the 13 Cup Series car and the 42 Xfinity Series car back at National. Now, this past weekend in the All-Star race, the 13 car actually raced. They only attempted to run for Daytona 500. They were not able to qualify their way in it. I believe both of the MBM Motorsports cars ended up failing getting into the show. But the 13 Cup Series car also attempted the All-Star race, which they weren't able to qualify their race in. But the 13 Cup Series car and the 42 Xfinity Series car are expected to come back at National. That means I believe there are going to be 3 or 4 MBM cars that are going to be attempted for the Xfinity Series race. And I also believe that both of the MBM cars are going to be racing. I don't know if the driver's not been confirmed or not, but I would expect that David Starr will be driving this 13 car, and Timmy Hill will be driving the 66 car. This is really great to see overall that they're expected to have 2 cars. I don't know if they're going to be able to qualify. I don't think MBM Motorsports is going to have a lot of speed. I don't know how many cars are going to be attempting to qualify for the Cup race. In the Xfinity Series race, I think the 42 car definitely has a shot. Depends on which driver you put in there. Wouldn't be surprised if they put Steven Light in the 42 or maybe Chad Finch and they put him in the 42. I'm not sure, to be honest with you, but I'm really happy to see that MBM Motorsports is going to be back. I'm really happy about that for sure. And now we're going to jump on to the next story of today's episode as we are talking about Cody Ware. As Cody Ware is expected to skip the NASCAR Cup Series weekend at National Superspeedway to race in the IndyCar Series race at National Superspeedway for Dale Coyne Racing. Now, Cody Ware has been racing most of the year so far in the 2021 season, but he has I think he did not race in the Coca-Cola 600 because of the fact that I think it was confirmed that he wasn't racing in that due to the fact he was going to be 10 for Indy 500 before he basically came off that. But Cody Ware did not race Indianapolis 500. I believe this will be his first IndyCar start of the 2021 season. He's been testing IndyCar over the offseason while trying to focus on NASCAR, of course, being the son of Rick Ware, it's no surprise that Cody Ware is going to be competing. And that driver has not been confirmed at the time who's going to be taking over for him during the weekend. I just hope Cody Ware doesn't have issues on the track like he's had in the Cup Series, because he got mad at Sonoma and got in Ryan Preece, even though Ryan Preece kind of deserved, to be honest with you. But Cody Ware's had issues in the past. He's had mental issues in the past. And hopefully that doesn't affect him in IndyCar, because you're going to have to make really, really smart judgment calls and not have issues over there. But hopefully Cody Ware can do really well, and hopefully he qualifies racing, and I think he'll make it in, let's be for real. And hopefully he'll do very, very well in his first start in IndyCar. I think he'll have a good shot of being very competitive. Now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next story of today's episode as we are talking about Andy Lally. As Andy Lally will be racing for BJ McLeod Motorsports once again at Road America. Now, number has not been confirmed this time he's going to be run, but it's expected that he will drive the number 99 car for BJ McLeod Motorsports. Andy Lally has raced a couple times this year for, I believe it was Our Motorsports. It's been pretty decently successful so far. He basically, his last races up until now, his last race was expected to be Mid-Ohio, but now we know for sure that he's going to be running at Road America, which I think is a really good opportunity overall, because I think he's honestly going to be really, really competitive. Andy Lally with the Our Motorsports equipment has been contending for top 10s, especially on the road courses. He's shown a lot of speed. He still can kick ass out there on the racetrack. I think he's going to do very, very well. I think he definitely has a shot for top 10, especially practice qualifying coming in, especially if rain comes in. Andy Lally is going to show a lot of speed. I think he's going to have a shot of competing. I think he's going to show a lot of speed. I'm definitely excited for Andy Lally getting an opportunity once again racing the Xfinity Series. I think he'll do very, very well, and I'm definitely excited about that overall for sure. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next story of today's episode as we are talking about Kyle Busch. As even though Kyle Busch has said in the past that if he gets 100 wins, 100 career victories, basically, it was confirmed during the broadcast after the race. Kyle Busch said he's expected to run Xfinity Series races, even if he scores 100 wins this year. He's expected to run Xfinity Series races once again, as Joe Gibbs basically has sponsorship for him for 2021. I kind of knew that was a lie, to be honest with you, unless it's only like a one off or two off. So it looks like Kyle Busch, even if he gets 100 wins this year, which is very, very likely, as Kyle Busch this past weekend won his 99th career race. His next race, which he honestly, I think, could honestly get that 100th Xfinity Series win at Road America. He's expected to run at Road America. I think he's running at another upcoming race here very, very soon as well. So I think he'll have a shot at competing for that win as well in that 54 car. But I kind of knew that was a lie, to be honest with you. I really, really think that Kyle Busch still wants to race Xfinity as long as possible. I know he said that a few years ago that if he gets 100 wins, I know he keeps saying, if I get 100 wins, unless Joe Gibbs gives me an opportunity to get sponsorship, and Joe Gibbs basically tells me to do it, I'm going to do it. But I don't hate Kyle Busch racing Xfinity all the time like a lot of people do. I'm not a big fan of Kyle Busch racing Xfinity Series, but sponsorship, of course, is a major important thing. If sponsors are willing to basically sponsor Kyle Busch, I'm not surprised on that front. But Kyle Busch will once again be racing the Xfinity Series next year, which, again, I don't think he's going to. I think he's probably going to win all the races he runs. He may run less, to be honest with you. Maybe he'll run 2 or 3 starts instead of running all 5 starts. But Kyle Busch, Vector Racing Xfinity Series, he'll probably win all the races that he runs next year. That's just my honest thoughts on that, though. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Ross Chastain. As Ross Chastain failed inspection after Truck Series race and has DNQ'd at Texas Motor Speedway. Now, the reason that he failed inspection is because, according to NASCAR, he says they violated the rule that states that the throttle body must be used as supplied by the NT1 engine supplier without modification. Now, apparently they had used the wrong bolts in the car. I don't remember exactly which bolts he used. I think they used like Phillips bolts, and there was supposed to be another set of bolts that they were supposed to use that they did not use. And that's the reason they unfortunately got failed inspection, unfortunately, after the Truck Series event. Now, Ross Chastain had finished third behind Chase at the time, had finished third behind John Remachek, who won the race, and Chase Elliott, who finished second. He finished third, which he showed a lot of speed in that event, but because of this, he failed inspection. It was really, really fortunate. Ross Chastain showed a lot of speed, but you got to follow the rules. Even so, sometimes these rules are really, really stupid when it comes to disqualification rules and all that stuff. You got to follow the rules overall. It's definitely unfortunate because it hurts that team overall in the point standings, the owner's point standings, especially because that 45 car has shown a lot of speed this year. They've been really, really fast, been really, really capable of contending in points, especially with cars so far. I know that Nice Motorsports definitely is not good as they've been past years, and Ross Chastain racing the NASCAR Truck Series. But I think it really is unfortunate to see it. It seems like Ross Chastain couldn't catch a break. I mean, they literally failed post-race inspection too for the All-Star Open, which he competed in. Of course, he was able to win and pass inspection later in the evening. But I think they had a throttle body issue in the Cup Series race now. So it seems like Ross Chastain can't catch a break when it comes to post-race inspection and pre-race inspection as well. It seems like when it comes to inspection, he has issues over there. But it is what it is. They get last place point stuff. I can't remember who finishes third now, but they finished last in the race and don't get any of the playoff points or the owner's points they get, which Ross Chastain wasn't eligible for points. So it doesn't affect Ross Chastain overall, but it does affect the team overall that is happening, which is really, really fortunate to see. But we will see what happens going forward, and hopefully, I don't think they're going to appeal it, to be honest with you, but we'll see what happens going forward if they will try to appeal it or not. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Greg Biffle, as Greg Biffle is going to be back in the SRX once again at Slinger Speedway. I'm really excited about this, to be honest with you, because Greg Biffle was super, super competitive in the SRX event. He was really, really fast, one of the fastest cars. I mean, he won a heat in the event. He showed what he's been able to do. He still wants to race, continue race. He even wants to race in NASCAR at some point. I think that Greg Biffle honestly could win next week at Slinger. Well, not back at Slinger, not next week at Knoxville, but he'll be back in the car at Slinger. They originally said they think the winner of the the Slinger Nationals, I think, is a driver who's going to be in that. So probably maybe Ty Majeski, if he wins that, will probably be competing. But Greg Biffle, I think, will show a lot of speed. And because it's not local track, because he's from Washington. But I think that Greg Biffle will show a lot of speed. I think he'll be very, very competitive in that event. I'm really happy about this because Greg Biffle, man, seeing him race once again in that 69 car, I can't believe they gave him the 69. That's really, really funny. But I think a very, very competitive Slinger. I think he'll show a lot of speed. He was really, really fast, even starting at the back. Because remember, he had to start at the back. I think he had to start at the back of the race, if I'm not mistaken, because he fell out of the race. He drove all the way up to the front, showed a lot of speed, was very, very competitive in the second round. And I think that Greg Biffle will be very, very fast as Slinger. Definitely excited to see that he is going to be back in the SRX. Speaking of which now, we're going to jump into the next story. We're talking about the SRX season opener. We got a lot to talk about from that. We're going to talk about the ratings, and we're also going to talk about the main SRX event as well. So, that first SRX event was absolutely incredible. From the heats, there was a lot that we're going to talk about from that SRX. So let's start off with heat number 1. Greg Biffle won heat number 1. I believe there was one caution that happened in the first heat between Paul Tracy and Michael Waltrip. Michael Waltrip basically drove into the back of Paul Tracy and spun him out, and Paul Tracy got a lot of damage in that. Greg Biffle would have a hard charge. I think it was from Tony Stewart, or I think it was Doug Coby or Tony Stewart who gave a run for the money. But Greg Biffle was able to come off the corner and win heat number 1. Now, in heat number 2 of the event, it looked like this race was going to go to Michael Waltrip. Michael Waltrip showed a ton of speed in the second heat. We'd also see a crash where Greg Biffle, who basically started in the back with the inverts, of course, because remember, they inverted the field for the second heat. It looked like this race was going to go to Michael Waltrip. It really was pulling away. Then we, of course, we see that record Gray Biffle would have issues, but he was able to go to the backup car and showed a ton of speed. And a main we'll talk about here very, very shortly. But there would be some contact with there. Julio Castroneves basically overdrove the corner and lost it into the corner and got it to the back of them. And then we would look like I said, Michael Waltrip was going to overall run away with this thing. But Doug Cody passes Michael Waltrip in a really good finish 2 laps ago, and he would win the second and last heat of the event. And because of this, they basically sorted out by the finishing of the second heat. Now, a lot of people were confused why they did 2 heats, considering the first one really didn't matter. Well, it matters for the points. That's why they did it. So let's talk about the main. The main race majorly was incredible. The first event was absolutely excellent. We saw incredible. The leaders never really got away from each other event. There was one caution, I think, in the event early. I think it was first spin for, was it Bill Elliott? I think it was. I don't remember exactly who spun in the first lap. I think there was like a spin that basically happened. I think it was for Bill Elliott. He had issues also throughout the event. You also saw Willie T. Ribbs go through the grass. But man, early in the race, Mark Andretti made this daring 3-wide move to the inside of Stafford. That was really, really impressive to see. And then we would see Gray Biffle, who was on fresh tires. Of course, only fresh tires, even though they were old, because they were only allowed one set of tires, the one they basically started on. Basically, Gray Biffle started making some really, really impressive moves up there, and Doug Cody also, and they started going back and forth. Biffle led a little bit, then Doug Cody got the lead. And then NASCAR did, not NASCAR, the SRX. The only issue with this race was that fun caution they threw out with 50 laps to go. Was not a fan of that fun caution they threw. They never should have thrown it. Apparently, there may have been reasons for that. I think they basically said maybe because for Mark Andretti had issues with it. He basically was getting stuck in 4th gear. He couldn't get out of 3rd. I think he was getting out of 3rd or 4th gear. Had gearing issues, which they threw the caution. But other than that, after that, some really good racing between Doug Cody and Gray Biffle. Even Tony Stewart's car started coming on. Then we would see a late race caution happen with, I think it was like 4 or 5 laps to go in the event, where we would see a battle between Gray Biffle and Doug Cody. Gray Biffle had nothing for it, though, and coming off the corner, the local legend, Doug Cody, came off the corner and was able to win the race. Like I mentioned, incredible race that happened here in the SRX. It was really, really good. Like I said, I gave the race a 9.5 out of 10. It was an excellent race to watch. I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to the next event at Knoxville. The only thing I hate about this race was that caution. Other than that, race was absolutely perfect and a great way to kick off. And I think the ratings tell for that too. Let's now go ahead and talk about the ratings from the SRX. It was reported by Adam Stern yesterday, right before the All-Star race took the green flag. He said that the preliminary ratings come out, and he said that CBS earned a 1.33 million viewers for last night's inaugural SRX event at Stafford, per preliminary numbers from TV Ratings Guide. For a series that literally just started, and for the series that literally kicked off, really no one knew about, just so much intrigue around it. The fact that this got that good of ratings for the start is really, really good to see. Nearly 1.34 million viewers on a Saturday night, nonetheless, on main CBS. That is really, really good. That's better than Truck Series numbers. And the Truck Series has been around for nearly 25 or 26 years. The fact that a series that literally just kicked off, yes, of course, you have a lot of good personalities like Tony Stewart, Bobby Labonte, Bill Elliott, Julio Castroneves, who just won the Indy 500. You had those guys that basically definitely helped the promotion of that for sure. And, of course, the promotion on social media definitely helped over there as well. But it was an incredible race, and people tuned in and stuck around. I think the ratings could definitely go up from there. I think you're going to see more intrigue around the event. And, hey, really good overall ratings for sure. I'm really happy about that. Great to see that the ratings are for that. And we'll see the final numbers that come in. I think they'll come either in tomorrow or Wednesday. But definitely good ratings overall for sure, and great news on that front for sure. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the final major story of today's episode, as we are talking about the next-gen car. Now, we've heard a lot of rumors in the past from the Door Bumper Clear podcast that have come true. Now, we don't really know at the moment what the horsepower is going to be for the next-gen car. There have been new rumors going around that it's going to be 550 horsepower for the intermediate tracks. Once again, like the Cup Series has had. There's rumors that the short track is going to be lowered to 670. Well, we may have some confirmation. While this isn't confirmed, Door Bumper Clear podcast reported on their package, and they said that they are expecting except on the super speedways, they're expecting out on all racetracks that the horsepower for the races next year with the next-gen car, it's all going to be 650 horsepower. Now, a lot of people are likely wanting 900 horsepower. Well, you're not going to be able to get 900 horsepower back because of the situation with the OEM. So how do you compromise with that? 650 horsepower, in my opinion, is a very good compromise, in my opinion. It's a very happy medium. It's not as slow as 550, but it's not as fast as 750. You get a happy medium. And the NASCAR Xfinity Series, they run 650 horsepower too. I think is it 650, 700? I'm not really sure. But it's been said that the Xfinity Series, they run around 650 horsepower in their cars. And the Xfinity Series this year, in the last couple of years with the composite body course too, the racing has been absolutely incredible, and 650 is great. And you also, it's a medium-sized sport as well as the Xfinity Series runs, and the racing's been really, really incredible. With that, it's been incredible to watch for sure. And I think that 650 horsepower is going to have up the tracks. Doesn't matter what package you run, except the course the high horsepower for the short tracks, which they ran in 2019, except that Bristol. Basically, the racing overall on short tracks will not be really affected. Overall, the Xfinity Series runs 650. And the racing's great over there as well, so nothing will get affected on that front with that. But the fact that everything's expected to be 650 is great to see. Again, I like to see higher horsepower at every single track, 750 horsepower, because I think the racing's great with 750 horsepower. I know a lot of people complain about the Darlington race and the Dover races, but hey, I'd rather watch 750 horsepower. But I think 650 horsepower is definitely a really good compromise overall. I think that's great to see. I think if it is true and it does confirm, again, it's just a rumor at the time, so there's nothing to confirm on that front. But if it is true that I expect it to be 650 horsepower, because Door Bubba Clear Podcast has it right on quite a few things. They got everything right on 2311, potentially expanding, on a potential Toyota team switching over. They've been right on a lot of things. And I think that if they get this right, I'm definitely going to be more excited about that. But hopefully it does come true. But it looks like there's a very good chance that the horsepower for the next gen car is going to be 650 horsepower. So, anyway, that is the game for today's NASCAR News video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notification on so you're notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and support my page as well. And let me know in the comments below what your thoughts on today's episode. What are your thoughts about potentially 650 horsepower on the next gen car? Do you like that decision or not? Do you think we should have higher horsepower? Let me know in the comments below. And what are your thoughts about the SRX season opener? Let me know in the comments below. I want to apologize. I've had basically a hoarse voice basically all afternoon. That's why it kind of sounds voice sounds like a little bad. If you've been watching the whole episode, my voice has been a little bit hoarse, and I want to apologize for that. But anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time for some more great and awesome NASCAR content. Take care, everybody.